so we go to Cincinnati. The Bengals have gone 9-16-1 in September under head coach Zach Taylor. They have won 36% of September games under Taylor, which ranks 28th in the National Football League. They have won close to half of their games in the months after September, if I could talk. Essentially, they are a team that starts slow, although I would argue last year maybe it was a little bit of a caveat. Nonetheless, can the Bengals afford, Kevin, to have another slow start this season?
No, they can't. Simply put, no, they cannot. There's a football reason, I think, that gets overlooked for some of this. And last year was a bit of an outlier in that regard. But Joe Burrow, I talked to him a couple years ago. He was talking about training camp, and he was saying that he's a bit of a field player. And a lot of times in training camp, especially when he comes back from injury, he just sees a wall of people. He doesn't have that vision like he does. Vision is his superpower. That takes a little bit. So he's almost like an NBA player who needs to warm up a little bit before hitting those mid-range jumpers. That's part of it. But it doesn't explain, Shay, why the organization ceases to be competent for basically an entire month of the season, why they have special teams mistakes, why the defensive coordinator last year, Al Golden, got better in the second half of the season but wasn't ready to rock in the first half of the season. Now, understanding some personnel stuff, they've addressed that with Dexter Lawrence and some of their additions this offseason. But it is maddening to watch them. As somebody who is so high on the Bengals every single year, whether it's they don't maximize their roster, whether they don't maximize their coaching staff, I don't know what it is, but they've got to hit the ground running because a bunch of other teams who are contenders, we've talked about it, the AFC is wide open. And a bunch of teams are going to look good in September and get those home playoff games. If the Bengals aren't one of them, they lose out.
If Joe Burrow plays 17 games, indifferent of what happens in September, if Joe Burrow plays 17 games and is Joe Burrow, are they in?
Yes.
Yes.
So what? They don't need to get. I mean, every team wants to get off to a good start, but they don't need it. This is the softest schedule in football. This is a team that, if Joe plays 17 games, should sniff 13-4, 14-3. I mean, if you look at their schedule and the quarterbacks that they are going to be asked to go against, if you took Lamar Jackson out of the conversation, you'd go, okay, who's going to be the best quarterback they play against? Jaden Daniels? We're hoping balls this year. Daniel Jones?
Baker.
That's not my concern.
Patrick, obviously.
My concern is Buccaneers with Todd Bowles in that front seven. The Texans with DeMeco Ryan sending.
But that's my point, Ken. If they start 1-3 before they go to at Miami and then the bye, you don't mean to tell me that they can't roll off 10 straight wins against that schedule?
My concern is, you look at September right now,
right?
I see an elite edge rusher at minimum and an elite front seven for some of these teams at every single game on that schedule.
Of course.
So if they're not ready to rock, Joe Burrow could get hurt.
Right.
Any of these guys could get hurt. They could get blown up. They could lose their confidence. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong. It's not about the quarterbacks they're playing. It's about the defense they're playing.
Myron, get in here.
Yeah, I mean, why do we have to keep putting Joe Burrow in this situation? Could he rattle off a bunch of wins? Of course, but do you want him facing that kind of pressure to have this miraculous second half of the season? I mean, coming out of the bye, you may play the Ravens team, and that might feel like a must-win game if they get off to another slow start. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me why the Bengals are always in this spot. But I say this, too. Can they get into the playoffs with a slow start? Probably. Is that the goal? Do they want to limp into the playoffs and maybe have a chance to advance, or do they want to have some momentum and have a real shot at making a run? So those are two different scenarios. They can't start slow if they want to be in the best possible spot in the postseason.
I would argue there's already pressure on this team. Like, they've missed the playoff 3 straight years now. Joe Burrow has been banged up year after year. Like, you can't, A, get off to a slow start, and B, miss yet another postseason. You're the only team in this division that kept your coach, so there's consistency there. There's no excuses this year for this Bengals team.
Yeah, that's
and the schedule is soft.
That's like, can they afford a slow start is always like, who actually knows for anybody as a team, right? I said this last week. I don't think there is another team in the league that has more at stake this season than the Bengals outside of L.A. We know L.A. is all in, obviously. We know they are, okay? We know. The Bengals, everything's on the line. The coach's job security, who I think Zach Taylor, a good coach, his job's on the line.
Yep.
Joe Burrow's future as the Bengals starting quarterback on the line. Mm-hmm. That means Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in a Hall of Fame duo worthy of is everything. That's future is in flux. So, yes, can they get off to a slow start? Of course they can. I would say, looking at the schedule, again, if you come off the bye, You play Baltimore, of course, no question. But then you get Tennessee, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Washington, New Orleans, Cleveland, Kansas City. We'll see how healthy Patrick is and their young players. Carolina, Indy, Baltimore, Cleveland. If you are the Bengals and you can't get to 12, 13, 14 wins, then that's going to be a massive disappointment this year, and there will be significant changes.
Now, if they don't get to 13 wins, let's just say, here I go again with the records, and they don't, but they make it to the playoffs this year, and let's just say they win a playoff game, that would alleviate that, correct?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think fair to say the expectations, realistic ones, are higher, but if you get into the final 8, you're a good football team.
Go ahead. Hey, Myron, get in here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know that we could assume anything is a cakewalk for the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, all those teams that Dan just mentioned, sure, they could beat all those teams. But I also feel like you play a team like the Panthers potentially, if they have things rolling. There's no guarantees for this Cincinnati team. So I do think you have to get some of those wins early. So you're not in this position where you make assumptions about the second half of the season. They haven't proven they're a team that's just going to go on that kind of a run no matter who they're facing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this team has scared people the last couple of years. Obviously, injuries played a big role in that. According to ESPN Analytics, this is the easiest schedule in the National Football League this upcoming season. Also, the playoff race is heating up. Don't miss.
Let's get elsewhere. All right, in the AFC North, the Bengals still cannot protect Joe Burrow. Is that an overreaction or not an overreaction?
Classic preseason overreaction. Yeah, there was a play where Orlando Brown got beat by a rookie, and that's not a good situation. You don't want Burrow getting hit. And here's a situation where maybe Burrow could have gotten rid of the ball a little quicker on that play. So the Bengals' offensive line is in a better position than it's been, I believe, since Burrow has been there. And they are working him under center more than they used to, and they feel like that's the kind of thing that can help with his protection. So Bengals are working to address the problem. Nothing that showed up on Thursday night should worry people too much.
High expectations certainly in Cincinnati with the offensive artillery that Cincinnati continues to boast. Jackson Dart will lead the Giants to the playoffs, Dan. Overreaction or not an overreaction?
I'm going to say overreaction. Still think the Giants are a little short in a couple of spots, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I like the way they look for the future, and if Jackson Dart can show growth in the areas where he needs to this year and he can develop, the offense, I think, can be good in short order. But I do think the defense has a lot of question marks, and Jackson Dart at this point in his career is still a question mark. We see the good, we see the bad in that game on Saturday. He still has some stuff to work on, but arrow up on Jackson Dart for 27 and beyond, I say.
Saw him in that blue tent, too, again. And speaking of an injury concern, how's this for a statement? There should be concern over Christian McCaffrey missing a week of practice with tightness, Dan. Overreaction or not an overreaction?
This was a tough one. I'm going to say not an overreaction, because until he gets back on the field, I believe we have license to be concerned, given his history, given the number of touches he had last year, given his age. The flip side is Christian McCaffrey's been through enough of these situations that he knows how to get himself ready for the season, and maybe the time off is strategic at this point. He certainly isn't a guy that needs to learn the offense or anything like that. So if he gets back out there today, tomorrow, whenever their next practice is, and he looks fine, then this turns out to be an overreaction. But until he does, we have license to be concerned.
George Kittle, who tore his Achilles in January, said yesterday he's hopeful to play Week 1. Dan Graziano, we got time for one more. We did save the best one, the most important one, for last.
Yeah.
Now, I am of